Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts podcast. This is another one of those bonus episodes, just like I did a few days ago with Death by Lightning. At the end of that episode, where I told you whether you should see it or skip it, I mentioned that I'm going to ask my wife if she wants to see Nuremberg with me. Well, I failed. She did not want to see it with me, but that does not mean I didn't see it. So, let's get to it. Every once in a while, Hollywood takes us back to one of those moments that redefined what humanity even means. This year, that moment has to be the movie Nuremberg, the 2025 historical drama starring Rami Malek as Army psychologist Douglas Kelley, and then Russell Crowe as none other than Hermann Göring. The movie is grim, it's cerebral, and it's making a lot of noise in the awards race. But the big question for us here on History Shorts is see it or skip it. How much of it is real history, and how much is just Hollywood courtroom theater dressed up in medals and moral philosophy? Well, let's dig in.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
First, a little background. Nuremberg was directed by James Vanderbilt, the same guy who wrote Zodiac and The Amazing Spider-Man. It's based on a 2013 nonfiction book, The Nazi and the Psychiatrist, by Jack L. High, which is an amazing book. If you have not read it, you really should, especially if you like the movie. And even if you don't like the movie, then even more so, read the book because it's awesome. So, the film follows U.S. Army psychiatrist Douglas M. Kelley. He's played by Rami Malek, who was assigned to evaluate the top surviving Nazi leaders before the 1945-46 trials in Nuremberg. That included Göring, Hess, Ribbentrop, and others. The whole idea was to see whether they were even fit enough to stand trial. But make no mistake, this is not a courtroom procedural like Judgment at Nuremberg, the original movie from 1961, which in itself was, I think, remade from another movie that came out years before that. Actually, when I saw this movie, I felt like the courtroom aspect was kind of rushed at the end, to be honest with you. But I guess it makes sense. I mean, there's only so much time you have to make a movie and tell the story. So this is more of like a psychological thriller than a legal drama. The lead up to the court, you might say. Think like Silence of the Lambs. I kept on thinking that actually. But instead of the Hannibal Lecter, you get a narcissistic war criminal in a cell wearing his Luftwaffe uniform or medals. And that's kind of exactly where the director's camera likes to linger, on these two men, one probing evil and the other embodying it. Let's give credit where credit's due though, because historically, Nuremberg gets a surprising amount right. Yes, Douglas Kelley was real, and yes, he really did evaluate Göring and the other Nazi defendants. The real Kelley was fascinated, even disturbed, by how ordinary and rational these men seemed. His ultimate conclusion was that evil doesn't always come from madness. Sometimes it just comes from cold, bureaucratic normalcy. I really think the film captures that moral tension. Malek's performance as Kelley is understated, precise, and haunted. The kind of role that feels like a mirror for the audience's conscience. I know some people felt like he really didn't deserve the Oscar when he played Freddie Mercury, and I'm not saying he's going to get an Oscar for this, but this definitely shows that he's got chops to play these dramatic roles. Meanwhile, Russell Crowe, as Göring, steals every scene. Critics are definitely right to compare it to his gladiator energy, just turned inside out. He's manipulative and charismatic in all the ways that made the real Göring both terrifying and effective. And that's pretty accurate. The real Göring was known to dominate the courtroom, even turning cross-examinations into performances. Kelley noted this in his own journal, that Göring could charm and control a room even in chains. And yes, the movie's use of actual concentration camp footage mirrors the real trials, where the Allies presented documentary film evidence to confront the world and the defendants with the scope of their crimes. These moments land with gut-punching realism. I mean, you're watching the real concentration camp footage. From the uniforms to the courtroom set, to the psychological cat and mouse dynamic, I think it all feels very authentic. If your inner historian loves detail, you'll notice the architecture of the Palace of Justice or the prisoner cells. Even the interrogation desks are recreated almost exactly from archival photos. But this is Hollywood, and I don't think you make a 90 million film without a few liberties. First, the timeline. The movie makes it look like Kelley's interviews with Göring directly shaped the trial strategy and verdicts. In reality, that's not the case. Kelley's work was independent from the prosecution. He wasn't making legal decisions. He was assessing the sanity and trying to understand the Nazi psyche. Then the script, which paints Kelley as a lone, almost tormented truth seeker who forms a psychological bond with Göring. Again, think of Silence of the Lambs. That's all I could think about when I was watching this. But that's compelling cinema. Historically, it's quite exaggerated. They did have long conversations, don't get me wrong, but there is no record of some climactic confrontation or emotional breakdown like the film shows. And then historians might have a problem with how much this whole film shrinks the complexity of the Nuremberg trials into really a two-man duel. Gone are the legal architects like Robert Jackson, the Soviet tensions between the legal team, or the revolutionary concept of crimes against humanity. Those do get brief mentions, but they're really background noise to just these two main characters. The truth is, the trials were an international bureaucratic marathon. The movie, understandably, again, 2.5 hours, trims that into a tight psychological chess match. So, how does Nuremberg hold up overall? Well, as cinema, it's a triumph. The atmosphere, the tension, the weight of moral responsibility, it all hits hard. It's slow, yes, but it's supposed to be. You feel trapped in these interrogation rooms, staring evil in the face, trying to decide whether it's human or something else entirely. As history, though, it's half accurate and half dramatized. But if you want the truth, then just read The Nazi and the Psychiatrist, as I mentioned. Or if you really want to get ambitious, read Nuremberg trial transcripts. But if you want the feeling of the truth, that sickly mix of fascination, disgust, and disbelief, the movie nails it. Because ultimately, Nuremberg isn't just about what happened in 1946. It's about how close the line between ordinary and monstrous can be. So, see it or skip it? For history lovers, see it. Yes, see it. And read Jack L. High's book. This is an intelligent movie, well-researched, and it raises moral questions that still matter. Can justice ever equal the crime? Or can you study evil without being changed by it? For casual moviegoers, also go see it. But know what you're getting into. This isn't an action movie. It's a slow burn of ideas and emotions. You will leave thinking more than cheering. So if you've seen Nuremberg already, let me know your take. I'm kind of curious what you think. I sometimes feel like I'm biased because, history. I love anything that's history. And even when something is not really great, I kind of always try to find the positive in it. But this really was a pretty good movie. Thank you for spending some time with me, and don't forget to check out today's regularly scheduled episode. If you have any questions or comments, you could find me at www.historyshortspodcast.com, or you could shoot me an email at peter@historyshortspodcast.com. Also, look for History Shorts on Facebook, X, and Patreon. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.